Thomas, go ahead and start us off.
Yes, Charlie. First of all, what did you change in your batting practice as you worked to get back on track offensively?
Just hitting always seems to be a bit of a moving target. So there were just a few minor things, more of just a simplification, just less is more kind of approach, to give myself a better chance of seeing the baseball, and I think that's helped a little bit.
I remember at spring training you talked about how it made you feel really alive trying to battle through that. Was this like that too for you?
Yeah, I guess so. But it's always you always get really upset when you don't play well. Right, I think I get more upset when I don't play well than I get happy for playing well. So I think that's more of a reason to make your adjustments to become more competitive when things aren't going as planned.
As far as the team is concerned, obviously this team has struggled quite a bit to get wins, but you look at some of the younger players there. Are you seeing good things, and what are the things you're seeing?
Yeah, so, I felt like this last road trip, we played better than our record would suggest. I thought we really put together some good at-bats, grinded out some at-bats, ran up some pitch counts, and we seemed like we had traffic on. Maybe we didn't get that big hit to drive them in, but we could have, right? We could have easily hit the ball in the gap and scored 2 runs. And I think that's kind of what you're starting to see. You're starting to see just a little bit more competitive at bats, and you're starting to see it a little more top to bottom throughout the lineup.
First of all, what's next for you as far as your swing is concerned? Where should the ball be going? Are you still trying to drive some balls the other way to get yourself back? Where are you right now?
I'm just hitting right now, trying to swing and try to escape balls. I'm not trying to hit the ball the other way. Honestly, that's the thing with bats for me. I don't see that being as successful as it used to be the way that guys pitch now. So that's, it's nice to have that swing and be able to do it. But as far as that being an approach, I don't really think that's going to pay out. So I'm just trying to have really competitive bats.
Okay, to follow up on that, are they pitching you more inside or just trying to get you to roll over more? What has changed about how you're being pitched?
People don't pitch down or away like they used to. If they do, it's usually like strike the ball off speed stuff. I mean, it's fastballs up, action in, and then strike the ball off speed down. So it's you can't just hit the sinker away like guys don't. Like there's not a whole lot of sinkers down and away anymore. Everything's elevated, spin rate, that kind of thing.
Okay, and the last for me, this is the first time I've had a chance to talk to you since some of the changes in the front office that you guys have made. Do you feel like this could kind of reset the team? And did this team need some resetting as far as priorities and direction and things like that?
I don't really think this changed anything for our team. Guys get here and walk through that door. It really, whoever's calling the shots doesn't have a whole lot to do with the product on the field. I think everybody showed up to spring training looking to be on the big league team, ready to play. And, no matter who it is that calls them, to be on the team, I think their goal is still the same, to come here and be successful, win baseball games for the Rockies.
All right. Thank you, Charlie.
Got it.
Patrick Saunders. Hi, Charlie. How are you today?
Good. Good.
Okay, I got a couple for you. First of all, you're a guy who through your career has produced a ton of RBIs. We all know what you did in, I think it was 17 from the leadoff spot. As somebody who's kind of become a bit of a mentor for some of the younger hitters who are learning, what advice have you given to them or would you give them about producing with runners in scoring position? Because that continues to be something this team must do better if you're going to win. What's the best advice you would give them?
I think we talked a lot about not letting the situation get the best of you. I think it's important for the hitter to determine how he approaches the situation and how much effort and how much anxiety he feels in a spot. It usually doesn't help you to add effort and anxiety. So mostly just want to simplify things, let my hitting ability take over and not be uptight or anxious, so that you end up swinging bad pitches. I mean, that's really the focus when you've got runners in scoring position. The pitcher doesn't want to throw your pitch over the plate. He's going to try and get you to swing at marginal pitches. You got to try not to swing at those. I mean, those pitches on the edges are really hard to drive runners in on, and so you're better off just not swinging at them. But if you're too excited and too amped up, and you want to be over aggressive, you're going to end up swinging at those pitches.
Because the reason I asked Charlie is his buddy's brought it up a couple times. He knows there's a lot of growth for the young guys that has to come, but he's also expressed his disappointment that a couple times guys have watched strike three go by without even putting the ball in play. And did you struggle with that at all when you were younger in those situations? And if so, is it a matter of just getting confident and making sure that you're not afraid to make a mistake, that you're afraid to that you tell yourself, hey, I've got to be ready to fire at those pitches in those situations?
I don't think anybody's ever going to get it right every time, right? I think you do your best to be confident in your approach, and you need to be there when in traffic in a big spot. You don't need to be floating back and forth between two approaches. Like I said earlier, you don't want to be swinging at balls. You're just not going to hit those pitches hard, and pitchers are going to pitch a little differently when they have something to lose, like runners on base. And so I think a big focus is you got to get the guy in the zone. And the side effect of that is sometimes you're going to take strikes. You're going to be looking for the pitch over the plate. The guy throws a really good one on the corner, and you may take it. I'd rather take a borderline pitch for a strike in that spot than be so aggressive that I'm swinging at balls, right? Like that's a trade-off. You can't do it perfect every time, but I do think there is a time to be aggressive, and sometimes you need to be willing to swing at those pitches on the edges and know when that is, right? So yeah, certainly you don't want to be taking strike three with runners on base, but I'd rather take a strike three every now and then and swing at strike three in the dirt frequently.
Makes sense. Two more for you, Charlie, if you don't mind. From my vantage point, it looks like you've played really good defense in right field for the first month or so of the season. Your throws have been strong. You've taken good angles, etc. Do you feel like you're playing as well as I'm seeing you're playing out there?
I think I've done a pretty good job so far. Made most of the plays I feel like I should have made. Maybe missed a couple opportunities for great plays. Only a couple mistakes. I do think I'm getting better at dealing the ball. You don't always know exactly where it's going to bounce on an extra base, like down the line. So I don't want to get sucked into the corner so far that if it bounces funny, I'm really out of position. But I do feel like I've been able to play the bounce pretty well. I mean, as soon as I touch it, from the time I touch it to the time I get it to the cutoff man, I feel like it's getting quicker.
And one more from me, and because I'm going to ask you this now, because I don't know if I'll get a chance before you guys head to St. Louis. You and Nolan have always been tight, good friends. Two-part question. How often do you guys still communicate? And how close, well, I guess it's a three-part question. How much do you guys communicate? How close do you watch how he's performing now with the Cardinals? And just how excited are you for what he might be doing in St. Louis?
We don't communicate a whole lot now that we've started the season. Most of the guys that I'm pretty close with, I know how they operate, they know how I operate. Just because we don't talk a lot doesn't mean we're not buddies. It's just that I'm busy, they're busy, competing against each other. So that kind of answers part one. Part two, like I'll be excited to see Nolan. Go out to dinner and hang out all night. That's stay on my program. He's going to stay on his. I have respect for what he does to get ready to play, and I'm sure he has some for me. And yeah, I pay attention. He's a buddy of mine. I don't want to check the box scores every night, but if the TV's on and he's at the bat, I'll pay attention to see what he does, or if they're ticking on the bottom line, like maybe I know somebody on the team, so I'm interested to see how they're doing. I hope he's healthy, and I hope things are going well for him. But ultimately, I want the Rockies to beat the Cardinals.
Great. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate your time today.
Nate Groke.
Yeah. Hey, Charlie, getting back to the front office changes. I know there's a kind of, separation of church and state sort of feel between a clubhouse and a front office. But for you, what do you need from a GM? What do you want them? Can they do anything for you? Does that make sense?
Sure. I think it's important that they are on top of the roster needs, right? Like if guys hurt or could possibly be hurt, like it would be great to have a guy ready to go, or at least know what move needs to be made. And I think that's the easy part, right? Like that job, like that's what you're going to do. And I think it's that part's been done pretty well. But I do think it's important that the GM be on the same team. Like we're all trying to win games for the same reason. We have the same goal, and I think it's important to have a good attitude, positive relationship with the players, which I feel like has been going on for a while. So I don't think I'm not saying it's going to be way different, now that there's somebody else running the show.
Gotcha. And then, and I do realize that you have a job to do on a daily basis, but has the, it's unusual to have a GM change, especially so early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Does that contribute at all to any sort of feeling of, the ground is shaking, or the ground is, different underneath your feet, anything like that in the clubhouse?
No, I don't think so. And I'll give you an example. Like say you got a game that night and something hurts, like something doesn't feel good on your body. You either choose not to play or you play, right? The game is going to happen. And if you play, you have to accept the consequences. Maybe you don't get a hit that night. It doesn't matter that you were banged up. Like nobody cares. That stat still counts. Like you're still responsible for your performance. And like the same carries true. It doesn't matter who's the GM. Like the Rockies still have a game and it's going to count. And so I know that. Everybody else in that locker room knows that. If I were to let something like that affect my performance, well, I wouldn't be here in the first place. You know, you can't make it to the big leagues without playing a little banged up. You know, have something bothering you. You're not going to feel 100% every day. You got to like take it upon yourself to perform no matter what, and that happens every day. From a player's perspective, it's just sometimes the reasons are a little different. You know, maybe it's not, you know, this part of my body. Like, oh well, I don't know who's going to call the next guy up when we need to call. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, the games are still going to count. And still need.
I understand you. Thank you, Charlie.
All right, Owen.
Hey, Charlie. I wanted to ask a little bit about just the kind of the history of the shift. I mean, it seems like the infield shift. You've been your career. I think you got a significant amount of time playing before they started utilizing that shift a lot, and now a significant amount of time since then. What are you seeing, you know, in that span of how that's changed baseball and how it's changed hitting?
Hitting seems a lot harder now than it was years ago. You know, you used to deal a lot of hits on the ground for one. You know, if you hit a ball hard on the ground, like you had a chance for a hit. And now I just feel like you only hit balls. I mean, like they're only going to play their infielders where you hit balls hard, and it's hard to have the spray chart that looks like, you know, line to line, hard hit balls everywhere. Like that's just not that many. You know, Tapia does that pretty well, and that's why he's hitting 300. But most guys have tendencies, and the shifts certainly, like absolutely, statistically, is taking lots and lots of hits away from a lot of people. So it's making the game harder. I think batting averages are way down this year. Shifting probably has contributed to that, as well as the changing of the baseball. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you think it's exciting or not to see, like, do you want to watch big power hitters try and bunt, or, you know, like, do you want to watch, you know, hard hit balls, you know, line drives into right field get caught by a second baseman who's playing 150 feet away from home plate? Like, I don't know if it's good for the game, like, but the game's certainly getting played better and better at a higher level now that we have more technology and more statistics.
With that question about whether or not it's good for the game, is there a question that goes along with that about whether or not there should be some limitations on it? Is that something you think should be regulated at all?
I don't like rules. I don't like more rules.
Right.
To be honest, I think if one team thinks they have an advantage by playing, you know, 4 guys on the right side of second base, like, I think they should be able to do it.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to make hitting for me harder? Yeah, like, I love it if there was just one guy standing over there, and every time I hit a hard ground ball, I had a good chance of finding a hole. Like, that would be nice. But I think teams invest a lot to figure out where to play their position, but, you know, where to play defensively. That's a big part of it.
And it was probably the last one, but and this may be an obvious question, but, you know, the old cliche, hit them where they ain't. Is it something you have to think about a lot more now at the plate in terms of trying to hit it where they ain't, or do you just keep trying to hit good balls and, you know, take good swings?
So I've spent the last 15 years trying to formulate my brain into thinking the best thing in order to help me hit the ball the hardest. For me to get in there and start pulling wires and trying to do different things, it's going to keep me from hitting the ball as hard as I can, as frequently as possible. So I don't think you're going to see, you know, I hate when people on TV talk about, like, oh, it's a terrible approach for all these guys. That's where they're striking out and doing shit. Like, I'm doing what I think is the best for me to hit the most line drives. So for me to do something different just to try and beat the shift, and I don't know, like, what kind of results you're going to get. Like, probably, like most guys probably aren't comfortable doing that. Some guys maybe are. I don't think you're going to see guys drastically change their approach because of the shift. They're going to probably keep doing what got them there.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate